Welcome to the Rubecast. My dear friend Joseph Espinosa is here. Musician, worship pastor, movie aficionado, Batman, Mandalorian.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
So we are.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the first thing I wanted to say was, what are you doing here? Man, how's it going?
Good.
Cool. Get that in there, man.
Yeah.
Yo, get that.
Good.
Yeah, you want that proximity, man.
I'm doing good.
Cool. Well, first I said we're going to talk about movies, and then I realized, last night, well, we're just going to talk about whatever we want to talk about. You know?
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
4th of July.
It's happening.
I've been watching Macho Man videos from his patriotic.
Yeah. Yeah, brother.
Yeah. Got my red, white, and blue spandex on. Yeah.
I feel like Macho Man set the bar, and then everybody else, like Warrior and everybody else, had to kind of like fit the bill.
Yep.
You know?
Ultimate Warrior, because Ultimate Warrior was more unhinged, I think.
Yeah.
And Macho Man acted unhinged, but I think personally he was pretty like a normal guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Randy Popov, was that? What was Macho Man's last name? Now I've got to look it up.
Yeah.
We're out of the gate talking about 80s wrestling.
Right.
Yeah, golden era.
He wasn't he in semi-pro baseball?
Yeah.
And then got all jacked.
Yeah. But that's what a lot of his contemporaries say. The Macho Man. I wonder how many of my listeners are like, they're going to talk about wrestling.
Yeah, wrestling.
Wrestling.
It's all fake.
Yep. Randy Mario Poffo. I was off. Poffo. Better known by his ring name, the Macho Man. Yeah. Randy Savage. Yeah, was an American professional wrestler and a professional baseball player. Yeah, and best known for time in the World Wrestling Federation. Yeah. He was described by sports writer Bill Simmons as one of the greatest pro wrestlers who ever lived. Yeah.
Yeah, there
Anyway.
was such a good, again, not that we want to get into this, but
We can get into whatever we want. It's
all right.
America. It's literally a 4th of
America.
July.
That time of like Andre, Hulk Hogan, Macho, that line of where like Undertaker had just come in, but there's like Jimmy Snuka and
Superfly.
Jimmy Superfly Snuka. That guy was awesome. Big John Studd. Junkyard Dog.
Yeah, Junkyard Dog. King Kong Bundy.
Yeah. Jake the Snake.
Jake the Snake Roberts, Ravishing Rick Rude.
Yeah.
I've talked about a little bit of wrestling on this before, but they don't come up with names like that anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Mm-hmm. Who's the 316 guy? Stone Cold.
Steve Austin.
Steve Austin. I think he had the most normal name.
Yeah.
The most just, yeah. I mean, it's a cool name, but
maybe his, I think him and like Dwayne The Rock Johnson were the last of the classic type. Cause to me, they're still new, but that's already years ago.
Yeah. Years ago.
Oh, Roddy Piper.
Oh, yeah.
They live, man.
Yeah.
They live.
Yeah.
That's, folks, if you have not watched They Live, you have not lived. Because that is a great movie.
Yeah.
It's John Carpenter. And, John Carpenter did tons. He did the first Halloween, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he did one called The Fog. That's really cool.
Yeah.
But They Live is a really interesting premise because Roddy Piper finds these glasses and he puts them on and he finds out like a bunch of the humans are actually these weird looking skull face aliens.
Yeah.
And then when he looks at billboards and stuff, there'll be like an advertisement and then it'll
say some
consume or something like that.
Subliminal messages and
yeah.
It's
really good.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's funny because John Carpenter did The Thing, and one of my favorite niche movies that a lot of people don't know about is Elvis. He did an Elvis movie with Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell, yep.
And it's funny. It's like Stephen King's Elvis or something, because John Carpenter is known for, the horror genre or like thriller genre, and to see that movie, it was really good. I think it was made for TV, but I'm not 100%.
Oh man, the Thing.
Yeah.
I mean, my brother Josh and I watched The Thing years and years ago. And we both agreed that it was more scary because all the stuff, like all the monsters and the aliens they're puppets.
Yeah. Right?
I mean, it's
practical effects.
Yeah.
Stretching out latex to make it look like skin is stretching out, and mechanics and arms and extra people doing puppetry behind it. I mean, that was the day. That was... you just had to be very creative. You didn't have to say, "Oh, just throw it in the computer and we'll finish it off."
It just doesn't have the same feel,
right?
And we thought it was more scary because it's actually real stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that kind of goes back to the Star Wars thing, where all those backgrounds were hand painted.
Oh yeah,
I mean, have you seen some of that stuff?
Oh yeah,
these guys hand painted, and I mean that's your neck of the woods because you grew up in La Puente, right?
Yeah, La Puente. La Puente, which is not too far from Pasadena, which is right next to Burbank, which is where things actually happen.
Burbank?
Yeah. Hollywood back in the day used to be the place, but there's a lot of studios and things that moved out towards East LA, and so Burbank, there's like Technicolor. Buena Vista Boulevard is where all the Disney stuff happens.
You worked for
Technicolor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us what Technicolor is. I think I know, but
so Technicolor was originally the kind of the grading or the coloring of, or professional coloring of movies, and so you had your film, and they would do like three prints, and it would be, how you have RGB, red, green, blue. So they would do them in three sets of film, and that was Technicolor film, and it would color everything, and that's how they originally colored things.
Didn't they have to have like hyper lighting on the sets and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. I remember hearing stories of some of those old Technicolor movies that the lights were so bright that they generated a lot of heat.
Yeah, and so it's like photography. If you look at original photography and you're using film, you have to have an f-stop, and you have to have, you have to check the lighting wherever everything is, and so if you want it to show up, you have to light it well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the original. I mean, now you have LEDs and stuff like that, but I mean, up until, I don't even know, you have those big, huge can lights, and that just have to heat up the set, and you're thinking about like Wizard of Oz when they're wearing like, I mean,
the Tin Man is baking in his costume,
Cowardly
and then
Lion,
also like poison paint all over his face.
Right? Yeah, the Tin Man, the original Tin Man had to leave. What's his name? He played Jeb in Beverly Hillbillies.
Yep.
And he got poisoning from the silver paint that they originally used. It got into his lungs, and it just...
What they wouldn't do.
I know.
The show did go on.
Well, let's just try this.
It's got lead in it, but you'll be fine.
I can't breathe.
Hey, Jerry, we got any more of that arsenic silver paint?
Yeah.
Now I got to let my dog out because she had to be by Joe when he got here. Now she's just looking at the door.
Oh, not it out.
Yeah, anyway.
So the Cowardly Lion had, I think, real lion skin. Like, it's just like they were crazy.
We killed 4 lions to make this costume.
It's the early years of cosplay. Let's just see how we can do this.
Yeah, they got to come up with a better term for cosplay, because it's like, for you, how many Batman costumes you got?
Like 3 or 4.
And I was going to tell you a while ago, you could probably, with all these rich people around here, you could probably make a lot of money just showing up to kids' birthday parties.
Yeah.
I thought about asking you to come to one of my nephew's birthday parties dressed up like Batman, because they would have flipped.
Oh, yeah. Anytime. I'd do it for free.
It's like $300.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
exactly.
But yeah, okay. So back to John Carpenter.
Yeah.
Some of his movies I just looked up: The Thing, 82; Halloween, 78. I mean, I think you can make an argument that either Halloween or Night of the Living Dead, that's a different guy, but are one of the best horror movies ever made. I mean,
Yeah.
Nosferatu, whatever. Anyway, John Carpenter, The Thing, Halloween, They Live, Escape from New York. We forget that he did that one.
Oh, yeah.
Kurt Russell, Vampires, Big Trouble in Little China, another fantastic one.
Another Kurt Russell.
The Fog, Christine,
Oh, yeah. Christine.
Prince of Darkness in 87, Assault on Precinct 13, Escape from L.A., Kurt Russell again. So, I mean, he did all kinds of cool stuff. Yeah, and then there's Elvis in 79. I want to watch that now. Do you have that one?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
It's on the Plex.
Here I go.
So let me see, what year was that? Christine wasn't Christine like 83? I'm looking for it on the
Let me look.
IMDb.
Yep.
So 83. I was 3 or 4 depending on what month it came out. And my aunt took me to go see it. Yeah. I seen that. I seen Fright Night, La Bamba. She used to babysit us, and my mom either was working or doing something, and so she would babysit us and take us to the movies. So like I got to see cool movies like Karate Kid and everything at the theater, but you're 3 or 4 and you're trying to take in what's going on in Christine, and you have this killer car, and I didn't even know what kind of car it was. I thought it was a 57 Chevy, but it's more like it's some kind of Cadillac. Man, there goes my trivia.
1958 Plymouth Fury.
Plymouth Fury, that's right. But I was just trying to process as a kid, like what's going on. And the scariest part for me was when, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Christine, but at the end when Arnie, they think Arnie's dead, and then he like pops up, and then that was like the scariest part for me, because I just thought it was over, and then all of a sudden like, he's back. But yeah, that I have those movies because I look back on them now and I'm like, wow, they're really good movies. They're scary, and that's the amount of horror genre I could take.
Yeah.
But yeah, Christine was just they've talked about doing remakes and stuff, and I'm sure they could do CG and all that other stuff, but the way they did, the car effects and how it crumpled in and crumpled out, and because Christine was a self-repairing car, and so to be able to do that back in the day, just on camera.
Yeah. Well, it just took a lot more work, and I don't know. I don't know if we've gotten better at it. Movies are, I don't know if they are what they used to be. I mean, because I don't know. There's been some good ones that have come out, but I think consensus seems to be, I mean, I always think about the Marvel stuff, and the Iron Mans were awesome, and right up to Endgame, it was all super cool, and then they kind of multiverse themselves to death, and the multiverse thing just, I think got out of control. I think we're all sick of it.
Yeah, if they would have just been a little more laser focused on what they were doing, and then losing actors, or actors getting arrested, kind of changed their trajectory, if they had one.
So you grew up in La Puente.
Yeah.
And you ended up going to the Master's College for a couple years, right? Mm-hmm. And then you met your wife in there.
I met my wife later.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
went to a couple churches, went down to Orange County to Yorba Linda, and then I got diabetes and then ended up living in a garage.
Yeah.
Then I met my wife.
Hey, baby.
Hey, baby, I'm living in a garage. So I was like, I had the best, first impression you can ever give.
Ooh, he lives in a garage. He's edgy.
Yeah. It's one of those edgy Christians.
Yeah, man, and like it's just part of my life.
It's just,
So,
yeah.
so you met a Montana gal,
Yeah.
and then what year did you move up to Montana?
2009.
Yeah.
That's when we were married. So about summer.
Yeah.
I literally like, we came out here for our reception. She grew up out here, so she had all kinds of family and friends and stuff. So had her reception. Then I put in applications like crazy. That's when you can actually do them physically still and walk in and meet the people that you're gonna work with. And, and so we put in applications for apartments. We were pretty set with the apartment before we moved, but the job was just up in the air. And literally, as we were packing, I got a call. I actually missed it the first time because the garage I was in didn't have good service. So when I got out, it was a message, and then they called me back and said I had the job at Bozeman High.
Oh yeah. So then
Yeah.
custodial. Mm-hmm. And you did that. So then you did that for how many years?
So I was employed for 6 years, and I worked there for 5. I took a 1 year sabbatical.
Yeah.
Because they'll they'll hold your position for a year if you want to go do something else or get education or whatever. So I took that option. Got my, I guess, pension. It's called a purse. And so I got that. And that was really why I like pushed myself to stay so long. It's because I knew that if I stayed after that point, I would at least have that pension and everything. So, so then, so worked there for 5 years.
Then Heritage, right?
Mm-hmm. So I did audio video between that sabbatical and another year. I did home theaters, installation. Like that was, it's one of those things where like I love the magic part of it, but I didn't like the install part of it.
Yeah.
Because you're running wire and the programming is fun and setting things up is fun. I actually had a really good, cool job where we basically said, here's what we're proposing to do. And we did it. And it was a producer of a lot of action movies. I don't know if I should say.
Yeah. Whatever.
But she was married to a director that has done a lot of action movies.
Yeah.
And so to have her, watch, something on TV or what we're presenting and then hearing the audio and her like really liking it.
Yeah.
That was like, yes, because she's producing these movies and then you're trying to give the feel of what it's supposed to be like, and that's kind of hard to reproduce at home,
Yeah.
And so to do a home theater and be able to do that, I felt like that was a good, because you're giving a director's, representation of what they want, So
You gave me a really killer home theater system, and I set it up, and then you kept on going, have you calibrated it yet? Have you calibrated it yet? So I got the little calibration microphone thing and calibrated it. And I've had my brothers over here. You and I watched La Bamba a while ago together, but I had my brothers over here, and we were watching Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And I kept on looking down the hallway. Something's going on over there. It's the Atmos speakers.
Yeah.
Because like when they're in the cave, like you can hear the water dripping.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is that? And it's really cool because it puts you right in it. It puts you right in it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I have a Sonos set up at my new place, and it's just the way everything's set up when you calibrate everything, when you because there's places where you can measure how many feet from where you're sitting, and when you balance all that out, everything is just so clear, and you get that feeling of what's that over there, and
It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I always just had like 2 speaker setups, and with your main right and left, your center channel, then your surround speakers and Atmos speakers with a sub. Mm-hmm. Zoe loves watching movies down in the basement because I just crank it.
Yeah.
Why not? This is what this is here for.
Right. Yeah, and when you're watching a movie in the basement, you're just, I mean, that's the place to do it. Having a sub and yeah, exactly.
So Zoe had a similar experience to what you had.
Mm-hmm.
We were watching Christine. So we were at Earthquake Lake earlier this week.
Mm-hmm.
We camped for 3 days, and we went to the visitor center, and they're showing a documentary there about what happened. So it's like a 7.3 or 7.5 earthquake, biggest earthquake ever to hit the Rocky Mountains. And in '59, when it happened, a face of a mountain on I gotta get this right, on the west side of the Madison River Canyon fell off. So there were spots where the earth dropped like 20 feet.
Yeah.
The big chunk of mountain falls off, smashes into the other side of the canyon, creates 100-mile-an-hour winds, blew a guy who was holding onto a tree, just blew him off the tree.
Wow.
And they never found him. I mean, yeah. And so we're watching this documentary, and Zoe's just sitting there like, she wasn't afraid, but she was super interested.
Yeah.
And then, there's this story of this 70-some-year-old lady, and she got up in the middle of the night for no reason. And she wakes up, she looks out her front door, and she sees a 5-foot crevice. She jumps over the crevice with her dog. As she's jumping, her house falls down the mountain into the water.
Oh.
I mean, this is movie stuff. The fact they haven't made a movie about this.
Yeah, it sounds like the movie Earthquake.
Yeah. Maybe that's part of it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was so crazy. And she had that kind of similar thing. We were kind of looking, should we be showing her this? But it really happened. I mean, it is educational, I guess. But it is those things when you're little, I'm thinking, okay, I hope I didn't scar her for life.
Yeah.
Did you ever have any movies that just scarred you for life, that just freaked you out, that still, like, you look back and you go, okay, that one freaked me out?
Well,
other than Christine.
Let me answer that question first. Man, I think Fright Night. Yeah, I mean, there was Christine and Fright Night that stick in my mind.
Yeah.
That were really, because, oh man, the lady who ended up being unmarried with children, she's on there as a girlfriend, and man, her face. I guess the original makeup that they used for that was going to be used in Ghostbusters, but that was too scary.
Oh, whoa!
So they used
I'm looking at it.
Yeah, so they used it for in Ghostbusters when they walk in and they're finding their first ghost, and there's that librarian, and then she screams. So originally that was the makeup that they were going to use.
Whoa!
But they thought it was too scary, so they changed it and they used it for Fright Night. Yeah, it's pretty gnarly. Like, it takes Ghostbusters into a whole different genre if you use that.
It's this horror comedy.
Yeah.
Who is it? Who is in it? Let's see.
Fright Night?
Yeah, well, the gal from Married with Children.
Yeah.
Was Katie Seagal, right?
No. It's the one, Marcy Darcy.
That one?
Yeah.
You can't tell with the big giant teeth makeup. What's her name?
Oh man,
I know.
I'll look it up too.
Fright Night, 1985. It says
Amanda
horror.
Bierce.
Amanda Bierce. It says horror comedy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's supposed to be, but when you're
Just
let's
creep.
see,
Well,
what year?
Yeah. Do you remember when the Crypt Keeper was on TV?
Yeah.
That creeped me out.
Yeah.
This little
Creep
rotten skull guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're just but you're also, what is that with horror movies that you're just attracted to the scary, the dark, you know? I mean,
it's this, like, I don't know. I could never explain it. It's just this, like, there's this different type of adrenaline and probably get this different kind of buzz from it, you know? It's just this, it's funny because Tales from the Crypt, I always remember Creepshow, which is Stephen King.
Yep.
And those ones freaked me out.
Yeah.
There's one with, I think it's Ted Danson is like buried on the beach or something, and it's just like his head is left like above and the water just keeps coming at him until he drowns, kind of thing. Like,
oh
just, yeah.
there are some episodes, you know, because Twilight Zone played endlessly on TV.
Yeah.
And there's some episodes of the old Twilight Zone that'll creep you out. And then they redid the Twilight Zone. And there was some creepy stuff there. I remember seeing a show, and I'll never be able to probably find it. But when I was a kid, there was a show, and it was this older couple, and they were cannibals. And I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see. People often enjoy being scared due to the release of feel-good chemicals like dopamine and endorphins during the experience, coupled with a sense of safety and relief.
Yeah.
There's a thing going on. I was watching a guy on YouTube talking about this, that people like listening to scary podcasts when they're going to sleep because somehow it helps them sleep better.
Oh, weird. I
Yeah.
couldn't do it.
There's one that I've been listening to on and off called Monsters Among Us, and it's this call-in show. And these people call in and they share their creepy stories. Like, I saw a dog man, or I saw a Sasquatch, or
Oh, yeah.
I was in this house and we saw stuff. And, you know, for us being Christians, we believe most of that stuff can be explained as demonic activity.
Yeah.
Because, of course, demons would be, you know,
Right.
masters of that,
Yeah.
pretending to be something else. I mean, they're all liars.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and that, you know, that's funny, like, because there's people who, and I would say in the circles that I'm in, which is very conservative, surprisingly, wouldn't deny that.
no.
And the more you read, the more you realize, like, they are real.
Yeah.
But I guess there are some Christians who believe that doesn't exist, but like that, I think that's ignorance, because
Well, that's not even scriptural.
right.
Yeah.
Because like, how many demons did Jesus, you know, come across? And
A
like,
lot.
yeah, and so like I think I think to deny it is just to be ignorant and to not actually want to, you know, how do you say it? To actually say that it exists, or to even deal with it, to want to deal with it. But when I was a kid, I was pretty sure I saw a ghost in the house.
Yeah.
We heard like steps. I was facing my grandma, and the sounds were behind me, and it just sounded like somebody was walking around, and she's like, "Oh, is your uncle here or whatever?" And I looked over, turned around, and it looked like a guy who was in one of those jumpsuits, like those Dickies kind of one piece, kind of Ghostbuster type. Yep. But it was like blue. And so I thought he was home. So I went to go say hi to him. Nobody was there. And it was like, what the heck, you know?
Yeah.
And so now, you know, as a believer, I'm like, okay, so there was something, but you know, it just, yeah. And so, yeah, I think that's where the horror genre is like, it takes another step. 'Cause like for me, you know, the scariest, I would say more recent, of the things that I've seen, was It, the newer one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why. I went and saw it. I haven't even seen the second one because it freaked me out.
Yeah.
I think maybe because there's such a crossover between like when you're a kid and when you're an adult, and how it follows them and all that.
Oh, yeah.
And
Gotcha.
yeah. And so like, it's just a weird, so like when I was working at Heritage, they have a lot of exit signs and they're red. And when all the lights are out, that's the only light you have.
Yeah. I've been creeped out in church buildings.
Yeah.
Not really this one for some reason. Well, and a lot of folks who listen to this should know who you are, but you and I worked together for a couple of years at Bozeman CRC. You're the worship pastor, and now you're the worship pastor at the church in Four Corners with Pastor Lance. And so we worked together here. But anyway, I'll be in this church and I'm fine. But there would be previous churches I'd be walking around at night. Like there's a story. There's a story. And I guess I won't name names because I don't know if the person would want. But if you heard the story from this person and you're listening to this, well, you've heard the story. But the guy that I know, he was a custodian in a church, and he was on his way up. This took a dark turn, Joe. This is probably good. I'm Batman, and you're Batman.
This is a rarity for me.
Yeah,
to ever talk about.
Yeah. It's just, it goes the way it goes. So this fella was closing up for the night. He got done with his stuff, and he was going to go out the front doors of the church, and he saw, I believe, 2 robed figures standing in the parking lot light.
Wow.
And he's like, okay, I'm not going out the front door. So he went around the side, got in his vehicle, and shined his headlights where those people were, and they were gone.
Wow.
So that stuff does happen. I always tell the Lord, I don't want to see him. I don't want to see him.
Yeah.
You just give me a full magazine and show me where to shoot.
Yeah.
Because I'm out. Like, I don't want it.
Yeah.
I have no desire. And I think sometimes people get so tangled up in that stuff.
Yeah.
That it's unhealthy. But I don't think you and I we don't believe that it's wrong to watch horror movies or anything. I mean, it depends on the person, I guess.
I think like I was talking to somebody about like cussing and all that. And I think there's a certain amount that will influence you after a while.
Yeah.
And so you have to just be careful that, because once you start thinking the thoughts and it just keeps there, then you start doing it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, so in moderation, and as long as I'm not picking up on the language or misrepresenting.
Yeah, I got you.
So what I was going to say, like you're talking about closing up. So
yeah,
I don't know if it was because heritage is in the city or location or whatever, but I just didn't always feel safe there.
Yeah.
There was one time I was working late. It was starting to close up. It was snowing crazy, and I look out, and there's these trucks out there, and I was like, oh, maybe somebody's here plowing, And I did see like somebody moving snow, but then towards the building. So I got on the cameras and looked, and there was somebody else in the back of the school with a ladder. And
oh man.
So I walked out. And it could have been anything. But I'm like, okay, I'm going to see what they're doing. So I go out there and I'm like, what's going on, guys? Oh, we're going to jump off the roof, and they were setting up snow in the front, so like when they jumped off the roof, they could land on that. And I'm like, guys, that's a bad idea. Yeah. You need to go.
Are they snowboarding off the roof?
There, yeah.
I've caught guys in front of Bozeman CRC trying to slide the rail.
Yeah. I mean, when you have a nice roof and, like, be glad it's not one of those churches where the roof like starts at the ground and then goes up, because I've seen some videos.
Yeah.
But it was just things like that where you're just like, oh, I don't know that, I like it here or like it at this late at night. But where I work now, it's funny. I feel really safe. And I think part of it could be because of where I'm at.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, I was cleaning carpets yesterday, and I looked out the window and realized that there's a little small cemetery behind it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, probably a few of my relatives are planted there. So you're at Manhattan Christian School now.
Yeah.
And enjoying the heck out of it.
Yeah.
So
very much.
Cool. You and Scott. Shout out to Scott Kim.
Yes. He's the greatest.
I pour some soda.
Yeah. Here.
Yep, it's time.
I'll crack open a cold one.
Crap open a cold one. Fresca. Joe's got Fresca. I've got 7-Up Zero Sugar Tropical.
Yeah.
Probably loaded with reds, whatever.
All the illegal color dyes.
There, we have to make those illegal.
Exactly. Fruit Loops are illegal.
They're bad. Yep.
Yeah. But,
there's okay, this kind of goes off on a different tangent, but I'll never forget there's one time we were hanging out, and you said something, because I mean, people might not believe this, but Bozeman is a predominantly Caucasian area, and you said to somebody, I can't remember how you said it, but you go, yeah, I was guilty of driving while being Mexican. And they were like, what?
Yeah. I remember it, but I can't remember who we were talking to.
I can't remember who it was.
Yeah,
and it was so funny.
Yeah, because it's funny because when I say things like that, people don't know if they should laugh or not. And it's like, if I'm saying it...
You know, Joe.
Yeah. It's like, if you're not laughing, you don't know me well.
It's like the tone,
Yeah.
Yeah, it all depends on the tone. But That's why we became friends, is because we like existing in that.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a region, we've had this discussion before, where there are a lot of Christians that I don't know how to put it, but have to be perfect. I have to have it all together. Can't show any cracks, especially not butt cracks.
Yeah.
Which we try not to. But and we just were never into that.
Yeah.
For you, coming to faith as a young man, we have a lot of the same music in common, and so yeah, like you said, moderating what we listen to and watch and all that stuff. But I don't think that Christians are supposed to be stingy or stuck up or not able to laugh or that kind of stuff. We laughed about so much stuff, and I don't know. Like sometimes I get in groups of people that you just wonder, like, do they ever go to the bathroom?
Yeah. Yeah. Do they ever have fun? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's life's too short, and like James says, life is a vapor. You know, and it's like you gotta have fun. You gotta have a sense of humor. When I read the Bible, like my roommates used to get mad at me because I would laugh, and like I'd be reading the Bible. I'm like, what are you reading? I'm like, I'm reading the Bible. And they're like, you're laughing at the Bible?
No, I'm
like,
laughing with the Bible.
Yeah, I'm laughing with the Bible. Like,
if you're not reading humor into that, you're not reading it.
This situation is hilarious.
Well, like when Jesus says, the blind lead the blind and they both fall into a ditch. And look at the people he's talking to.
Right.
Have you ever gotten to preach to a group of people that don't like to laugh at jokes, which I wouldn't know what that feels like.
Yeah.
But it's, there's humor.
Yeah.
There's humor here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously not a comedy book, but these are people.
Right.
And I think we forget that too, like your favorite characters in the Bible. You should totally understand that these are human beings.
Right. It's kind of like if I wrote somebody a letter and I was putting my personality into it, and I was just putting it all out there, or writing to a friend, and sometimes or writing to my wife. It's like the word is like that with us. Our like that's part of the relationship. Like I don't think people understand. Like, oh, you have to have a relationship with Jesus. Well, like that's the relationship part of it. Like that's the fun part of it. You know, it's like you read these situations. My favorite one is when John the Baptist is like, I'm not Elijah. Oh, so then you're Jesus. And then, no, I'm the voice of, one crying out. And, oh, so you're, and they keep going back and forth. And, I just picture John, just going, I just,
come on, guys,
face palm, like
youth pastor John the Baptist. Guys, come on, guys,
hey guys,
everyone sit crisscross applesauce on the floor. I'm going to explain a story to you. Yeah, that's funny. We know each other so well. I'm struggling to figure out what all do we talk about, because we'll have to do a part 2.
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't know. I guess we became friends.
Mm-hmm.
I saw you playing drums at a church that we both love very much, at Grace Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And then Val was working at your school,
mm-hmm.
and I ran into you in the hallway, and we started talking about music and Stone Temple Pilots and Nirvana and all those 90s bands that we both like.
Yeah.
And then we also like a lot of that one-off stuff. I mean, we were just sending, you just sent me a cover of a Glenn Campbell song.
Yeah.
What was that band again?
The Mavericks.
Yeah, the Mavericks covering that. And then
they're good.
I've been kind of working on that one, and so now I've been playing that. We like a lot of the same music, like Cash and rockabilly. We both love rockabilly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's.
Are we going to talk about Three Doors Down now?
Yeah.
Yeah. I do have a comment on that.
Yeah.
Because I had a question from somebody, and they're like, we're on a long drive, and I'm gonna take my hat off real quick.
Joe's taking his hat off. It's getting serious.
But he asked me, he's like, "Do you like Nickelback? What do you think of them?" And I'm like, they're on that subgenre or genre, right?
Yeah.
Like you got Creed, Three Doors Down,
Yep.
and Nickelback, and I'm like, dude, to be honest, I think the reason why people hate them is because they're so good. You know,
I think you're right.
like they're just, you listen to everything is so tight, everything is so well written, and they just came out the gate with a bunch of hits, and I'm
Yeah.
not even sure how many number ones they had, but like they're on rotation everywhere, and that might be part of it, is that they're so good that people don't like them.
Sometimes I wonder. So, this is gonna get good. I just realized it deep down in my bowels. So, not that it hasn't, because it's been already great. It's been so very many, but I think back in the day, for us, the day was the 90s, 80s,
yeah,
but mostly 90s.
yeah,
That was our
mostly, yeah.
for us. That's peak civilization. There would be like the cool kids at school, and they liked a certain kind of music. And then the rejects liked a certain kind of music. And so you bristled against the music that the cool kids liked, whether it was good or not. Like when I was in school, the sports guys, who I think always loved, because we were in, I went to a small school. I went to Manhattan Christian.
Yeah.
Looking back, like, I love those guys. We'd complain about, oh, yeah, basketball. But we loved them. We went to all the games and cheered for them. And we actually, looking back, we got along. We did not have it hard at all. Not like how you did.
Yeah.
'Cause I've heard stories from you. Yeah, this guy was, I'll never forget when you're like, yeah, this guy was waiting to jump me. Oh, are they going to go on trampolines, Joe? No, he was going to beat me up. So, but the guys in my class that played sports, a bunch of them, like, they liked the Beatles and Bob Dylan and stuff like that. And so then I just didn't like that because they liked that.
Oh,
Yeah. So I gravitated toward punk rock, and I mean, I'm so glad I did. But now the older I get, the Beatles rule, and Bob Dylan. I've liked Bob Dylan for a long time. I got into him through Mike Ness. That's another. Oh man, so many things. But so I think sometimes people don't like Nickelback. Maybe it's the lyrical content. Some of the lyrical content is a little. I like the way you look at me.
Photograph.
Yeah. But I'm gonna guess that Nickelback's first hit song was "Leader of Men." I'm not sure if it was. I'm going to hit search.
I thought it was How You Remind Me.
How You Remind Me. Look at that unit. So do you remember the song? Because their first decently well-known album, there's a music video that I saw on Much Music for Leader of Men, and I thought this was pretty good. It's kind of like Creed, but a different flavor.
Yeah.
And Creed, too, you look back and you think, okay, they might not be my cup of tea, but like you said, they're tight. The production value is really high. When we say production value, we mean how it's recorded and how it's put together.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
The funny thing about, I think it was their first album where they had all the hits. Their drummer quit midway.
Wow.
And so they took a track. I think it was 2 tracks, maybe 3, but they took the exact same drums and wrote around them, because they didn't have a drummer.
Yeah.
And so, like, you can listen to those songs and hear the exact stops, the exact accents and everything, but they sound totally original. And so it's like, it takes some creativity to write around some drums, Like, unless you're the writer, it really takes some good creativity to do that,
Leader of Men by Nickelback. It peaked at number 8 on the Billboard mainstream rock chart. It was featured on the band's second studio album, The State, in 1998.
Okay.
How You Remind Me was 02.
Okay.
Which is interesting because back in 02, I could throw a pigskin a quarter mile. What year did you graduate from high school?
I graduated in 97.
Nice.
Yeah.
Graduated from 8th grade in 98. So you would have been like one of those cool older kids that I was like, oh, he's in a band and stuff.
Yeah. It's funny. I remember those guys. Like, I remember there was a guy. I worked at a flower shop, and he left and I came in.
Yeah.
But I always remember him like, in like around and in high school, like maybe visiting high school, and he was around, but he was this goth guy.
Yeah.
And he reminded me of like, he dressed like one of those guys from one of those 80s bands.
So those of you who don't know goth, they wear predominantly black, sometimes kind of weird, like strappy things. And it's all over the place.
Yeah. He was like a pea coat, kind of thing.
Trench coat mafia.
Trench coat. Yeah. Yeah. And so I just remember like, I wouldn't be like that guy. That guy's cool.
Yeah.
There's another
he looks
guy.
different.
Yeah. There's another guy he was, let me see, in 8th grade when I was in 7th, and he was tall dude, but he was like so ska, like, and there's confusion on the whole skinhead thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like he's totally Mexican dude.
Yeah,
but
there's a ton of Mexican skinheads.
Yeah, yeah, but it's like it's not about the racism thing.
No.
It's more about the music and the
working
the
class
genre.
thing. And,
there's a whole like documentary on it on YouTube, but like there's Japanese, there's all kinds of different skinhead ska type genre people, and it's just more about the music. And the thing about ska too was they put it together, and the way it all kind of came about was the blending of white and black.
Yeah.
And
in the UK.
Yeah, in the UK. And it's like that whole genre, like the Specials, Madness.
Yep. Listen to the Specials, listen to Madness. If you wonder what ska is, just start there.
Yeah.
And work your way backwards and forwards.
Yeah, Best of the Specials is a good album.
Yeah. But that too, the British call suspenders braces, and I have some red and white. Like I have red braces and I have white braces, and every once in a while I'll wear them because I don't feel like wearing a belt.
Yeah.
And you got a buzz cut and you walk around Bozeman.
Right.
People look at you like,
yeah,
are you going to a rally?
Right.
No, this is a whole different
kind
of punk rock adjacent culture. And I was talking to another friend about it. People are very ignorant to subcultures in Montana still.
Yeah.
I mean, you grew up in the thick of it. In Los Angeles, as much as Montanans were like, California, like if we grew up in Montana, like in punk rock, California was a huge, like the Southern California punk scene was just a huge.
Yeah, Fullerton, you got the Vandals, you got Offspring, you got Social Distortion.
Social D, man. Honestly,
yeah.
I felt like I didn't say anything because I was at the show. Social Distortion just played a block from my house.
Yeah.
The opening band, Plague Vendor, you've got to check them out.
Okay. Yeah.
The guy has like the stage presence of old school skinny Scott Weiland kind of.
Oh,
combined with the guy from the guy from the Cramps.
Okay.
They're just crazy, like kind of garage rock, but there's like a rockabilly influence, and the guitar player plays a giant Gretsch, and you love them. But anyway, Social Distortion, all those bands. Dead Kennedys came from probably their San Francisco area, right? I can't remember.
Yeah,
but I mean, just the subculture thing. I mean, growing up here, it was really interesting at the Social D concert. Mm-hmm. Mike Ness always kind of has his little monologues, and we've seen him twice. And he goes, I bet you back in the 80s it was hard being a punk rocker growing up out here, and a bunch of people older than me like, yeah. And I think to myself, 80s, try early 2000s.
Yeah.
I got called the F word.
Wow.
I got called
the 3-letter one?
Yeah. by some hillbilly in Three Forks at a basketball game.
Wow.
I was wearing pinstripe pants and a studded belt and a black shirt with my own band's logo on it, and probably a wallet chain or something, and some boots. And I was walking. I had these boots. They were black boots with blue flames on them. And I was walking by, and this guy just yelled, I just don't even want to say that word. And whatever. But like, not on the podcast. I got called that by a friend a while ago, and it was pretty funny. But anyway, and it was weird. I wasn't like hurt or anything, but I remember stopping in front of because it was the other team crowd.
Yeah.
And I remember stopping and just looking to see who said it, and then all of a sudden, everyone just stopped.
Yeah.
But that you got made fun of in Montana as recent as the early 2000s
Yeah.
for dressing like
Yeah.
different. And
I had a buddy who was, let's see, what year was it? Maybe 2010s, something or other. He was walking around here, somewhere a little farther inland, and
the Inland Empire.
yeah. And he's Mexican, like he's American, but he's dark complected, and I don't know. No, they didn't think he was native because he said he was walking, and they threw a taco at him.
What the heck?
And he laughed about it. He's just like, I can't believe, like, they threw a taco at me. Like, I wasn't hungry, kind of thing.
That's something that people don't get, though, is, I was just having a conversation with a friend, and you're not one of those guys where you think there's racism around every corner, but, I mean, you run into some racism.
Yeah.
Especially, it might not be as bad as it is now,
Mm-hmm.
but, and you've always said it's more a matter of naivete or being sheltered. People just have not run into other people, and that's changing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I remember growing up and hearing people say things about different groups and thinking, "Oh, that doesn't sound right."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think, like, on one hand, there's the exposure. So, like, because anybody could be, anybody could be. So there's stereotypes, there's prejudice, and there's racism. You
Yeah.
know? And I think most things these days fall into a prejudice, like prejudging somebody for what they look like.
Yeah.
And so, like, racism is more of judging you, or not even judging you, but like treating you a certain way because of your race.
Yeah.
Right. So I think most things are prejudice, but people don't know how to label them or parse them or whatever to be able to say, like, this is what it is. And so when you're prejudged, somebody might watch something and think that you're of that culture and then treat you that way, And I think that's where prejudice falls into as well, as culture and not how you look,
Yeah.
One of the things I was going to say earlier was, like, I've told you this, but Luis Valdez, who directed La Bamba,
Oh yeah.
he was part of the migrant workers, and he, walked alongside Cesar Chavez, and they protested for the unions, for people who were doing, picking fruit and all that.
Which is a hard job.
Yeah. So they were out there all the time. They eventually created a theater to entertain everybody who was there, because it's like you have these long days, and then what are you going to do? So they started doing acting and everything. But he's just so influential. But he said, Latino is a culture, not a race. And I've said this to you. And the first time I actually met you, Rupert, who was the AD over there, said that you were an honorary Latino. And I think, like, it shows, because, like, with the music, with the influence, where you come from, it, like, there's so many things that it's crazy that you grew up out here, and in the Hill of Churches.
Yes, the great Hill of Churches, the great Paleface Reservation of Church Hill.
But somehow you have all these influences like that I had.
Yep.
Music genre, just movies, just all these things that it's like, it's an interesting, it's like, I think that's, we get along well because of all those things,
If you don't think that Pedro's cousins from Napoleon Dynamite are two of the coolest guys you've ever seen, you're dumb.
Yeah.
When they're going to mess with, there's that scene where they're going to mess with, I think they're going to mess with Napoleon. And Pedro's cousins pull up and they're, their lowrider.
Yeah, cholos.
And, they just look at him and like, nope. That is so good.
Yeah. And, it's funny because, like, a scene like that, or, like, if you've ever seen Selena, there's this point where their bus breaks down, and these cholos roll up with their lowrider and they hook up onto the bus and they're like, anything for Salinas, like.
And she didn't even speak Spanish, right?
Right.
That's
She didn't, yeah. That's the two thing. Like my heroes is like Richie Valens and Selena, because they both didn't speak, Spanish. Richie Valens like just totally became popular and didn't know a lot of Spanish and just, I mean, it just, like, it even says it in the movie. Like, there's this point where he's like, "Hola, cómo estás?" Blah 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 blah. And he's like, "No speaky," kind of thing. And it's just like it's funny growing up on this side of the, the culture, or the, where I grew up and where I was removed from, that the language and everything. My grandma tried, and I just, for some reason, I couldn't pick it up.
Well, I don't know. Some of us are just not motivated in that way. I mean, I desperately wish I knew Spanish, because, excuse me, I run into a lot of podcast burps, man. Run into a lot of folks that, up here that only speak Spanish, and I just wish I could talk to them, because I feel like we could hang out. Mm-hmm. But I just found out this funny piece of information, and I'll keep it anonymous. But this group of Mexican dudes work for this fella, and he's very particular. And I just found out that they call him Don Perfecto.
That's funny.
I mean, that is so great.
Yeah, that's great. Don Perfecto.
It is Don Perfecto. Nice. I mean, that is funny.
Yeah,
I mean, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, and we talked about that with Mike Ness from Social Distortion. Slick back hair, white tank top, Dickies.
When you look at even Gwen Stefani, like, Fullerton has such a Hispanic influence, and it's a melding. It's there's, like, in Southern Cal, that's where I grew up. There's just so many, like, there's so many cultures and so many races and so many influences from, the music that comes in. We had, K-Rock was the big one for
big station.
For rock, for local things. And so local bands, so like going to Social D, like there was, I think it was Rodney on the Rock who put them on. But Rodney on the Rock would find these local bands. He would go out to the clubs and be like, "Oh, these guys are good." Grab a CD, put it on the rotation at midnight, and they would blow up. Like, there's so many bands that he found. And then you had, like, the Power 106, which was like all the hip hop and all that kind of stuff. And then you had, like, the Wave, which is like what we call yacht rock now. You know, anything that would be on VH1, like the Whitney Houston, the Celine Dion. We listened to that in the flower shop that I worked at.
Adult contemporary.
Like, exactly. And then you had two oldie stations. One was where they just played the kind of bubblegum, some stuff that you would hear out here where it's like more poppy, more like Beatles and 60s and things like that. And then I think it was KRLA, which was AM. And they had like all the lowrider, like, all the lowrider oldies that were like more like, I could only say that it's closer to what like the Mexican like music is like, where it's like pining and talking about romance, or like I lost my love, and it's very heartfelt and things like that. And I think like somehow they recreated that with the oldies in that, on that station. And so you just hear all these like I'm Your Puppet and all these things, so it's just like, so you have that whole influence of LA, and then it's being broadcast throughout Southern California, and then people pick it up and then they throw it into their music, and then you have Don't Speak from No Doubt, that song, like there's that middle part where there's the Spanish guitar, I mean, there's so many things that even Social D that you listen to, and it's like, oh, I hear that. I hear.
Well, yeah. I mean, just even sometimes the way he talks. I mean, it's very Southern California, and you can't be Southern California without a Hispanic influence.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just kind of thinking about this because people tend to think, California is kind of just, well, this is what I think California is. But I always tell people Buck Owens, Merle Haggard, Bakersfield, California.
Yeah.
And like Dwight Yoakam got his start in Southern California. And he's one of the most honky-tonk country guys. I mean, he's got his roots in Appalachia, but he took off in Southern California.
Wow.
And so I don't know, it's just interesting. And I mean, so for us, like, music is just such a huge deal. I mean, you just sent me something yesterday. It was like kind of country gospel type hymns.
Yeah.
And you go, does this ever make you cry? And I'm like, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd even play some, but I get flagged. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, those type of things. I mean, we're both really moved by music. That's something I noticed in my mom's like last days of life, and then after she passed away, is I leaned way heavier into music than I ever have, and it just helps you with so much. To me, anyway, it's medicine. I was gonna tell you this. When we first got together, I wasn't really actively playing much, and you're kind of like the Apollo Creed guy for me. Like, you got to play, you got to do this. What are you talking about? So, okay, so to personal music, you're in a band called Streams Tree. Is that still the working title?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you've got that going. You've been playing some gigs here and there. You did one down in Wyoming, open for Seventh Day Slumber pretty recently, right? And so that's been going pretty good. What's going on that front?
So the next thing we're doing, we're down to 2 people right now. But so we're looking for a bass player. But we're going to be going to Wyoming in August, and we're going to actually do like a VBS type camp thing. And we'll be supporting the band there, like the house band. And then we'll be doing some songs as well, like leading some songs. And so we'll be there for, I think, 3 or 4 days working with the kids, and then leading worship there. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool because we get to play original music, but then we get to do worship music, and it's not like, it's out of who we are and what we do, not out of like, this is going to make money, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I get that.
Yeah. It's because, like Jake, who's, my guitarist, lead singer at this point, has led in his church, and I lead at my church, and so we just have a heart for leading worship and working with kids. I went to school for youth ministry and music, so this is right down my alley.
Yep.
And not that college necessarily prepares you for that, but it just gives you a little more, like a step in that direction, I would say, because you're already doing it, you're already wanting to do it, and so then it just helps you see better,
Yeah, it's funny. I do like making money playing music.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's all. But like, I know what you mean. Is it's for the ministry element of it and connecting with folks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we had a little band going for a while, and I had too much going on and had to be done with that. But it was fun. And you guys played Crown of Thorns last year. Are you playing this year?
So this past summer they canceled it, and they don't know if they'll be back. So
Christian Music Fest in Billings.
Yeah.
That had been going for a while.
So we ended up getting called to do, like through Facebook, and I was like, I didn't think it was real. So I had to, I got on a landline that was at my church and made sure that, everything was, I didn't want to get, scammed or anything, but they called us, to go do, outreach, in Wyoming, just like a youth outreach. and it was small, but it was good, and that's where we made the connection to do this VBS. So
That's how it works. And honestly, knowing you, there could not be a more perfect gig than that. So,
Yeah.
well, let me. I got to wrap up a little sooner than I normally would like to, just because it's the 4th of July. And
Yeah.
I like a dummy planned a show tonight. So
yeah.
I'm down in Gardner. It'll be really fun though.
Yeah.
I'm excited because it's Gardner.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's gonna be popping off literally.
Nice.
But
yeah, I bet.
yeah, so Streamstree, STREAMSTREE. Find them on Instagram. You guys have anything up on Spotify yet?
Not yet. We're working on it. I'm talking to some people, trying to make it happen.
Yeah.
Some producers and stuff like that. Just trying to get the right people. 'Cause I think we're gonna have somebody work on it. And if we do, it's gonna be a little better than I think what I would put out.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
just it's just been good to be in this scene where there's people in the industry that we know that we can call, we can talk to.
Matt Baird
Yes.
from Spoken. Check out Spoken too. That guy's
Yeah.
man.
He's been, I know for me, he's been being a guy that just has been so open. He's 30 something years in the business. He's been at heights, he's been at lows, but he's willing to share, his experience to get you to somewhere, you don't have to go through that. And so that's been the great thing about kind of doing these shows and getting to know people, and not like, oh, I know this person, because I'm not. Try not to mention names, but
he's a cool guy. And
Yeah.
I think, well, first of all, I know I already kind of said this, but if it wasn't for you, I don't know if I'd be playing music as much as I am right now. Because you'd be like, you gotta get this out here. What are you doing? Like, come on.
Yeah.
And that was really helpful for me personally. And then I talked to Matt on the phone a couple years ago, and he goes, bro, you're not going to make money playing in a band. Like, it's fun and stuff, but he goes, you need to start setting up solo acoustic shows. He's like, you're a funny guy. You can do different voices. You can entertain people. Like, just get out there. And that's proven out. Because, I mean, like this summer, I've got a lot of them that I'm playing. And you're just background music. I like it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, he's really helpful. So no, I'm glad that you're hey, I'm doing it. Hey, it's me. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it's just one of those things that, I've studied missions. I've gone on mission trips, and like just my point of view of doing this stuff is like that. It's not just going out like it again. There's nothing wrong with making money. There's nothing wrong with entertaining.
Yeah, but there are different mentalities.
Yeah.
And for you, it's been, and that was something we had a lot of discussions about is, okay, if I'm up there and I'm saying, hey, if you are having some trouble in life and you need prayer or you want to talk to us, come find us. And, well, you want to be there then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because, I mean, we've had experiences before where stuff like that is said, and then it doesn't seem like the person really does want to pray with you or talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something where you go, all right, well, you're a Christian artist, part of your life and part of your job, and I would say your duty.
Your duty.
I'm tired of cooking duty. I'm tired of dead guy duty. I think I need another duty. But anyway, part of it's your duty. It's your responsibility.
Yeah.
If you're out there and you're waving that flag, you better, and you, Joe, are fully ready to not only perform and minister in that way, but if someone comes up to you and is having a hard time, you're going to pray with them.
Yeah.
And you're going to encourage them.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, more power to you, bro.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, we could sit here. You folks don't understand. When Joe and I worked together, we would meet once a week for like 3 hours. And we probably got in trouble because it was, we get in our own heads about stuff. But we can sit here and talk forever. But, man, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. Yeah. I'm really proud of you. Glad you're my friend. And, well, part 2 down the road, of course.
Okay.
Take care, folks. Thanks for joining the Rubecast. Thanks for listening. We love y'all. And you know what? Have yourself a good America Day.